Several years ago, my father was diagnosed with cancer. And I remember the reason he found out was because he was having all sorts of stomach pains. And when they took him in, did some examinations, I don't know what the treatment was, they found a tumor, and I can't remember if they measure it in centimeters or diameters, but it was 5 inches in centimeters or diameters. It was massive. And the tumor had grown so large that it was pushing on his colon and was giving him all this stomach pain, thankfully. So he was rushed into emergency surgery, did the surgery, and a few weeks after that, he went in for his follow-up consult with the doctor. And as he was sitting there talking to the doctor's telling him, says, well, Mike, I'm confident, 60% confident we got everything, and you're going to live your whole rest of your life without any problems. And he said, now in the other room, though, I have to tell you, there's someone who is in there who opted not to have chemo. My dad was trying to decide, should he have chemo, should he not have chemo? And they went with the 60% and the cancer came back. And it came back so aggressively and so strong that they're going to die. My dad, upon hearing this, took a breath. He's young. He thought about his life he had ahead, the time he wanted to spend with friends, with family, the adventures he wanted to go on, the things he wanted to do. And he opted to have the chemo. I remember when my dad called me later on, right after that, and we were talking on the phone. And my dad shared with me something that has been one of the most important life lessons I've ever learned. I was asking, why would you go with it? Why did you decide? And, how'd that feel? And all these questions I had. And he said, realizing that other person was in the room next to me, a person who opted not to have it, who was going to die. I realized in that moment that we never have to look very far to see someone who has it worse off than we do. We're going through very difficult times right now for many of us. For some of us, this is a wonderful time, and for others, this is the worst time we've ever been through. It's when we focus on all that's going wrong that it'll appear that everything is going wrong. If you can remember the words of my father during your challenging time, remember that there is not someone very far away, probably very near to you, that is going through an equally difficult, if not more difficult time right now. We will often struggle indefinitely when we feel hopeless or helpless. I promise you this though, if you can consider that other person right now, consider what they're going through, consider the challenges they face, because you understand it better than anyone else, and you extend a hand to be helpful, you can't be helpless and helpful at the same time. You can't be hopeless and helpful at the same time. One of the most powerful assets you have at your disposal right now, even if you're going through a tough time, which my heart goes out to all of us, because so many of us are, and some of us are going through even more difficult times than others. Even in your most challenging times, you still have something to give. You still have the ability to help another. And your surest way out of the situation that you're in is not going to be the government, is not going to be the coronavirus quarantine getting lifted, although that will help. It's going to be your willingness to extend a hand to help another human being. Anyways, I hope this message helps, and I think my dad would be pretty happy right now to know that his words are still making an impact all these years later.